Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, man. I sure do appreciate everybody subscribing and liking and commenting and all that good jazz. I sure do thank y'all. I'm gonna keep trying to grow this old thing. If you ain't already, hit that little old bell over there and subscribe or like or whatever. I sure would appreciate y'all subscribe. Y'all do that. I'm gonna keep her coming. But today I think I'm gonna just run over like different baits and techniques to catch fish in a day. Kind of like the plan to go through. Like if you, not the plan to go through, the steps that you would go through. You know, if the fish ain't biting one thing, go to something else. Like for instance, I love casting. I'll put that dadgum Jinko trick stick light in my hand and I absolutely love it. I put on, most time I'll use a mermaid, the Jinko mermaids. I love them baits, the big ones and the little ones. And I cast 99% of the time. I get to my warhead jig, fire them out there. I love casting. 16th and the 8th is mostly what I throw. Sometimes I have to go down. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is like casting. When you get on the water, every single day is different. Just about, well, I ain't going to say every day is different because it's another day, of course. But most of the time, fishing changes quite a lot from one day to the next. I mean, you liable to be doing one thing one day and have to do something totally different the next day. And I'll get into that. But a lot of times when I get out there, my first thing, my go-to thing is I put on, if it's, you know, water temperature's on up there where I feel like they're pretty active, I put on an 1/8 ounce jig head right out the gate. My thoughts is, I want to try and throw the heaviest, fastest moving thing I can possibly throw at them. That way I can catch them faster and I can go through them. Cause I love snatching on them. Y'all know as good as anybody. I like watching that old pole bend, son. So I'll put on what I think I can get away with. I mean, I have thrown quarters quite a bit. I mean, if I think they'll, you know, chase it and eat it, I'll throw a quarter on their tail. Or if not, most time I start out with 8. If they're eating 8, that's what I'm going to fish with that day. If they're not eating 8, well, then I might go to a curly tail. See if they want some action on it instead of the mermaid. If they're still not eating it, I'll drop down, go to a 16th. I'll try a mermaid. Mermaid's just got a, you know, a regular flat tail. It's kind of a subtle bait. If they ain't eating that, I'll go to a 16th with a curly tail. Maybe they want it, you know, a little more action, but they want it slower. Sorry about this. I'm holding it with my hand, but it'll be all right. Y'all don't kill me. Don't fuss at me too bad. But sometimes they might want a little more action. Very rarely, unless I'm in shallow water, will I go a 30-second, or if I really, really have to make them bite, I'll cast a 30 seconds, but that's in tough days, son. Once you tougher than woodpecker lips when you throw that 30 second to them. But most of the time, I start out with an 8th, and I'll go from there. If they'll eat the 8th, I'll let her hammer and just keep. I want to start out with the fastest bait that I can cover the most water with. That way I can put it in front of the most fish, you know. If they're chasing it, leave it at that. If not, go down a little bit. You know, go down to a 16th, something a little bit slower. Maybe change your actions. Have have 2 different types of baits. Have you a subtle bait that don't have much action on it, and have you something that does have action on it. Have you a couple different weight size jig. I ain't saying you got to buy out Jinko or Bass Pro or whatever, but have you a few different options. And then on the other hand, some days they don't hardly eat a moving bait at all. I mean, I've seen several days. We was at Grenada here a couple weeks ago. I couldn't hardly get them to eat a moving bait by the second day of the tournament. Like, you had to put it on them, make multiple casts of the same fish, and put it dead nuts on them, and just hope that they'd bite. To whereas, a lot of times when we seen this throughout that tournament, we'd be firing shots, and I'm talking about long shots too. We'd be firing shots, and we'd fire at them saw guns all the way up until they got 15, 20 feet from the boat and still wouldn't eat. I mean, I know we were putting her on there like a dadgum rifle scope, son. We were putting her right on the money. Still wouldn't eat. You get that old, I call it the silent treatment. You lay out of wood to them. I use my favorite's that X13 from Jinko at 1 pole. I put that 1 pole in a hair jig, and you could drop it right over their head and hold it. Don't be jiggling it, jumping up and down. I could hold it for about, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds, and sure enough, that son gun turn and pop it. Now I'm talking about knock a fire out of it, son. Firefly from that dadgum pole. But it was just amazing how hard he would hit that hair jig and wouldn't eat nothing moving. Now, every now and then I would have to put old silver sides on him, put one of my little old minnows, tip that jig with a minnow to make them eat it. I mean, you just gotta find out what they want. You gotta be willing to change. You can't just say, well, if they don't eat my tube jig, that's in pink and chartreuse, then we just gonna call her quits, go to the house, we ain't gonna have no fish. No, keep trying some stuff, and you'll find something, I promise you. I honestly, and I'm not trying to sound conceited or nothing like that, I don't remember the last time I went crappie fishing and didn't catch it and caught zero. I've always caught some fish because you keep messing with them, keep juking and jiving and moving, and you're going to get on some fish that's active. I mean, you might have to cover some water. You might have to change baits 3, 4, 5 times, but that's part of the game. That's what I like. I like figuring the puzzle, as them bass guys say. You got to figure out the puzzle and what they want. And a lot of times it's presentation, and that's a big thing, and I said it time and time again. Presentation to me means more than color any day of the week. Presentation and action of the bait means more than anything as far as the baits are concerned, or the jigs, or whatever your tackle. Like I said, I like throwing that 8, something moving fast. If not, I'll go down to a 16. Then if I got to put that old wood to them, I give them the silent treatment. I take that X13 and reach out there. I can drop that rascal right on top of his head. I don't drop it below him, and I try not to bump it. I just put it right above his head to where that song gun. I think them fish this time of year, like in the summer and the winter, summer especially, they're lethargic. They don't want to move. The water's hot. They're not wanting to exhaust a lot of energy. They just don't feel good this time of year. I think a lot of it is the reason why they'll turn and eat that hair jig is when they won't eat nothing else moving. I think a lot of that is you're just invading their personal space, Jack. You invading their privacy, and they want to get you on out of the way. I don't think them fish are turning to bite it to eat it because they're hungry. I think they're just doing it because it's in their personal space. It's in the strike zone, as they call it. You leave it in the strike zone longer, they're going to eat it. Well, I think that's a lot of it. I think them fish ain't just starving to death, but you put something right there around his head. It's kind of like somebody just getting in your face. You're going to push them back and get off of it. Well, they ain't got hands and fingers, so guess what? Only thing they can do is bite that rascal. And hopefully you fast enough to snatch them on up out of there before they can spit it back out. A lot of times I ain't, but a lot of times I am too. And they go on to ride an old skeeter. But that's just my thoughts on the whole, my progressions, if you will. That's what I was looking at, my progressions throughout the day, if you will. Trying to use them old long handle words, them fancy ones. But that's what I'll do. I mean, I just get out there, I try chunking. I like casting now. And since that little old double down come out, I really like it now. Got that little old double down, that open face BFS reel, son. I feel like I'm back in old Jimmy Houston days, just out there chunking and a winding. But I love casting for them. But if you can't catch them casting, try a different kind of, action on your bait. If you can't catch them like that, give them the silent treatment. Lay that wood to them, son. Get you one of them X13s, one of them X15s, and reach on out there and touch them. You put that hair jig right there on their nose, they can't stand it, Jack. I promise you they can't stand it. Y'all try that, and I believe it'll help you. And I sure would appreciate y'all. Hit that old bell over there and that old like and subscribe, whatever. Leave me a comment. I mean, what y'all's thoughts on this thing? What do y'all think? Is that a good idea? I mean, it's worked for me. It might not work for everybody, but just stay steady at it. I mean, don't just quit. Don't give up. Stay steady at it. Change your baits. Change your action. Change everything. But that's just my thoughts for the day. Thoughts from the truck, I guess you'll say. But anyway, like I said, I appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe. Hit that little bell, and y'all stay tuned. And y'all keep on snatching on them.